Hi, my name's Cindy Howell, and I'm sharing with you my testimony today. Most people get saved once. I got saved 3 times, not because I was a terrible sinner, although I was, but just because my life has been very unusual. God first saved me in the womb. My mother tried to abort me, and she was not successful. So God saved me. He had a reason, which we all know he has a reason for all of us. And then when I was 11, um, I got saved at a Church of Christ. I, um, at 10 years of age, my father left our family, and there was my mother and 5 children, and I was the oldest of 5. And feeling just completely abandoned and alone and thrown into an adult's role as being the oldest child, um, my mother took us to church for the first time. She had a neighbor who invited us, and we all went. And for the next 6 to 8 months, I was hearing the word of God, and my heart was starved for that. And one Sunday, when there was an altar call, and I was 11, I answered, and I got saved and I got baptized. And for the next 8 or 9 years, I was walking with the Lord. I was very strong in my faith. I wanted to become a medical missionary and go to Africa. I had high aspirations for serving God. And then my heart got broken. Like so many young people, our romances don't work out the way we want. And my heart got broken, and I left God. I decided I wanted to see what the world had to offer. Not that I, put him aside in my life. I didn't. I decided I was just going to see what the world had to offer, and I didn't want God to be a part of my life because mostly I was ashamed of the lifestyle I was living. This was in the wild late 60s, early 70s, and drugs were everywhere and anywhere, and I was very promiscuous. I was doing everything that everybody else was doing, my friends. I had no boundaries. And um, but I knew that God still loved me. He would send me little hints. I worked in a hospital, and there would be patients that would say, "God bless you," or do you have a faith? They would ask me that, and I would tell them yes, but I would say I wasn't walking with the Lord. And this one particular time, after about 5 years of being independent, and getting very tired of it, and not enjoying my lifestyle at all, I decided to seek out professional help, a counselor. I was thinking about suicide because I was terribly, terribly unhappy, and but all of my own choosing, of course. And so I started seeing a therapist, and he was very helpful. And after about, I would say about 6 months, I had a patient in the hospital, and she said to me, and I still remember her name, Olive Went, and she said, "Cindy, are you a Christian? You're so sweet. You must be a Christian." And I said, I ran from the room in tears because of the shame that I felt. I, I am a Christian. I was a Christian, but I certainly wasn't living the lifestyle. So the next day, I knew that I was going to have to explain to my patient, Olive, why I went running from her room. So I did. I left. I came back and I explained to her, and I told her, and she said, Well, Cindy, I'm going to be praying that you find your way back. And that was the beginning of me finding my way back. And as God continued to heal my mind and my emotions, he was getting ready to heal my spirit. And after about a year and a half of counseling, I met my future husband. I met him in a bar on a Saturday morning. And in the whole bar, there was one empty seat. And it was next to this man that I did not know. And a week later, we were married. But that's another story. But before we got married, he said to me, he said, you know, God put us together for a reason. And I said, yes, I know that. And he said, you know, we're going to be married, don't you? And I said, yes, I know that. Now, that was not my intellect or my emotions. That was my spirit speaking, because I knew in my spirit that this was the man that God had chosen for me. So that was on a Saturday. The following Wednesday, so 4 days later, we went to a Bible study at a friend's house of his, and we both rededicated our lives to the Lord. So that was the third time that I got saved, and I've been walking with the Lord ever since, and he's never let me down. Thank you. I hope this encourages you in your walk.